Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to do more than just look at history books. We're actually going to try and step inside it. We're turning back the clock to a time before, well, pretty much everything we think of as normal today.
Okay, so let's just picture this world. The year is 1891. There are no smartphones, obviously, no electricity in a place like this, and high school? That wasn't really a thing for most people yet. This is rural America, a world shaped by the sun, the seasons, and just plain hard work. It's a place that feels both familiar and, honestly, like another planet.
So you gotta wonder, right? What was it really like to be a teenager back then? It's one thing to read about it, but to get a feel for it, you need a personal guide. And lucky for us, we have one. We can get an amazing look into this world by following a day in the life of one boy.
So let's meet our guy. This is Severt Leland. He's 13 years old, and he's going to be our window into 1891. His everyday life, his family, his chores, they're going to show us a world of unbelievable responsibility, but also some surprisingly simple joys.
Severt's whole world really revolved around three big things: his family, his Norwegian roots, and the cold, hard reality of living on a Wisconsin farm. As the oldest son of immigrants, he had a weight on his shoulders that most of us today just can't imagine.
Now, this slide, it tells you so much at just a glance. First, you see a big, busy family, 6 kids. That is a full house. But then, you look closer and you see that quiet little note at the bottom, the loss of 2 other children. That was a heartbreakingly common reality back then, a constant reminder of just how fragile life could be. And this is a huge part of who he was. Think about it. At home, he's speaking Norwegian, hearing stories his parents brought over from the old country. But the minute he steps outside, to the schoolhouse or into town, it's a whole new world. It's all in English. So Severt, he had to be fluent in both, living with a foot in each culture. You know, Severt's alarm clock, it wasn't an alarm clock. It was the sound of cows needing to be milked and chickens needing to be fed. The day started in the cold and the dark because the farm didn't wait for anyone. And just look at this list. This isn't just helping out around the house. This was the engine that kept the family going. Every single one of these tasks, every bucket of water, every armful of firewood, was absolutely essential for their survival. Talk about responsibility before you've even had breakfast. And if you think his work was done after that, not even close. At just 13 years old, Severt was already learning not one, but 2 different jobs, 2 skilled professions that would set the course for the rest of his life. I mean, look at the range of skills here. On one hand, he's learning the ancient rhythms of farming, how to work the land, tend to the animals, harvest the grain. But on the other hand, he's learning a precise, skilled trade from his dad, carpentry. This wasn't some summer job. This was his real education. He was learning how to literally build his world.
So, where does school fit into all this? Well, it kind of had to squeeze in wherever it could. School was a luxury you got when the farm let you go, which was mostly during the winter when things were a bit slower. For boys like Severt, the fields were the main classroom.
Okay, so it sounds like all work and no play, right? Well, that's not the whole story. It's a mistake to think life was just one long chore. When the work was finally done, people knew how to have fun, connect with each other, and find joy in the world around them. On those long, cold winter evenings, the family was the entertainment. You can just picture them, all gathered around the wood stove. They tell stories from Norway, sing songs their parents taught them, and make things with their hands. This was their Netflix, a shared culture they created for themselves, right there in their living room. And the community was basically just a bigger version of the family. Everyone relied on everyone else. And what's so cool is how they mixed work with fun. A barn raising? Yeah, it's hard work, but it was also a huge party. Neighbors would come together, get the job done, and then end the day with food, music, and dancing. It was all about strengthening those bonds that held everyone together. And then, of course, you had the great outdoors, which was basically their adventure park. No tickets required. The same creek they fished in for dinner became the swimming hole in the summer. The same hills they farmed became the perfect sledding slopes in the winter. Fun wasn't something you bought. It was something you found. So, when you put all this together, the backbreaking work, the deep family ties, the simple joys, what does it all add up to? Well, this kind of life wasn't just about getting by. It was a crucible. It was forging the character of an entire generation. At 13, Severt is in this really interesting spot. He's carrying the weight of an adult, but he's still a kid who goes sledding. And in a way, his life mirrors what was happening in America itself.
A country built by people who had one foot in their old world traditions and the other stepping boldly into a brand new future.
So what's the biggest takeaway from a life like Severt's? It all boils down to this one word: perseverance. I mean, the sheer grit it took to get up before dawn in the freezing cold, day after day after day, and just do what had to be done. That kind of strength, that resolve, is the bedrock of everything else.
And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? Severt's personal story is actually part of a much bigger story. The values he was learning on that little farm in Wisconsin, hard work, community, looking out for your neighbors, those were the exact same values that were building towns and cities all across the country. And that leaves us with a pretty big question, one I want you to really think about. With all our modern conveniences, could we handle just one of his days? It's a humbling thought for sure, and it really makes you appreciate not just how much the world has changed, but the incredible resilience of the people who came before us.